Almost 6 months without payment, and their frustrations have now reached a boiling point. The city promised to pay the caterers at the end of August, but made a U-turn, and the caterers retaliated, demanding their money immediately. The desperate group claimed that they loaned money to render the catering services to the homeless and are now at loggerheads with creditors and loan sharks.
Colleagues, they've reported that their cars have been repossessed. Their kids are not be able to go to school because they couldn't pay school fees, and even worse, we lost one of us here due to COVID because he was exposed to this pandemic because he wanted to help the city.
The impasse started after invoices with alleged exorbitant amounts raised suspicion and led to audit scrutiny. They were also told that the service was not properly administered, which raised concerns of possible corruption.
When I sent them my email to say this is how much I'm paying, can you at least assist, because my shop has been closed now. I'm left with nothing now. They actually don't care. That's the simple way of saying it. They don't care about how we feel, about what we're going through. In as much as we expressed ourselves, they just don't care.
To settle this, the city has forced the caterers to submit receipts to validate their purchases and services rendered. They also have to submit bank statements for verification. Earlier last month, caterers were met by another shocker. The city resolved to only pay out a 30% benchmark on all markups.
Irrespective of whether you brought your expenditures and they're sitting on 80,000, they're paying you 50,000. And when we asked that, they said, no, we have been guided by National Treasury.
After failing to pay the caterers end of August due to pending investigations, the city resolved to split the group and scrutinize each caterer independently by questioning them individually.
Yes, I agree with the investigation, but I want them to treat us fairly. Please, I'm begging the city to treat us fairly, pay us the money that we work for and deal with the culprit.
Beginning of lockdown, the city took thousands of homeless people off the streets to curb the spread of COVID-19 and house them at various shelters. Caterers were roped in to provide meals. But the city now alleged that the caterers were unduly appointed without proper supply chain procedures being followed, and some submitted invoices that lacked credibility.
The prima facie evidence indicates that there was no proper appointment. And as I said to you, after this proper establishment of facts, we should be able to say, yes, it was not proper. But I think they also appear like there's been a colluding about who's going to do what. The officials who was responsible in the city was suspended because there is a lot of other gaps of procuring these services.
The payment dispute also compromised the catering services to the homeless. All caterers withdrew their services.
The difficulty is that they've taken their resources, they have taken their time. They've also had hopes that they would then get something after the service, and the city should pay them. So that's I sympathize, and I really want to apologize it has taken so long. The only thing is that there's these suspicions that need to be established, and therefore we should be able to pay them. We also request that caterers come alone, because you are appointed alone. They were not appointed as a group, so that they can help clarify this process.
Meanwhile, NGOs have since stepped in to cater for the homeless people who remain at the shelters. But their former caterers are unfortunately left in financial disarray. Patricia Fasahi, SABC News in Pretoria.